They coming, hit the button, hit the button. Young world. So what I'm going to do for you right now is read you off the 18 laws of surviving the streets in the technology era. Published September 15th, 2019 on thenews.com. Because I guess y'all just not, like, man, look, I'm going to just read it off to you. Disclaimer. Before we present these laws, the news staff would like to make it crystal clear that we in no way, shape, form, or fashion condone or are promoting any illegal or negative activity in any such way. Furthermore, we encourage that you stay away from the street life or get out as soon as possible. However, for those who are still trapped in the game, we offer these laws to help preserve your safety and well-being until you find a better way. Please note, even if you follow these laws 100%, there are never any guarantees that you will succeed. The streets have no rules. That being said, the game has changed. The streets, as they call it, have evolved and manifested into many different sectors and sections of ideology and expression over the past 30 or so years that in order for one to survive as grass, they need to be observant, able to adjust, and possess independent thinking. Keyword, independent thinking. Also, to be clear, the distinction we are making in this article when we say the streets, we are specifically speaking of people who are participating in out of the ordinary extracurricular activity to get money in the streets, not just being from or living in the streets. This is about people who's getting money in the streets doing out of the ordinary extracurricular activity to get money. Number 1. Law 1. Identify the reason you're in the streets. There are 2 reasons why people participate in the street life. One is for money, the other is for recognition. It's simple. If you're in the streets for recognition or clout, quit today. Also, money and recognition don't mix. If you run with others in a group, you have to be all on the same page. You can't have anyone involved who's there for recognition. It only takes one of them to bring everyone down. Like the old saying goes, one bad apple spoils a bunch. Law 2. Know when to accept losses. I like to say that I never lose, I either win or learn. In the street life, there are no rules or guidelines. Losses will come. The streets giveth and the streets taketh. Sometimes the best action to take in the loss is taking the necessary steps to prevent it from happening again. Retaliation and revenge is not always productive. Sometimes you need to charge it to the streets. Meaning, sometimes you just gotta know when to say, I lost, and move on. Law number 3. Never throw paraphernalia in your garbage can at home. You'd be surprised at how many people see their downfall strictly due to throwing away the wrong thing. By law, I'll say, at least here in Pennsylvania, your garbage is considered public property once it's out for pickup. But if somebody's monitoring you, it gives them ammunition to keep looking. Like, it's by law, it's public property once it's out, so it's not your property. But that don't mean, so that means that they can't actually necessarily use something against you that's found in there unless it's specifically tied to a specific thing, normally, depending on the circumstances. But even with that, it still don't mean that they can just look at it, see what's in there, and just helps them build a case. Even if they can't use it in a court of law, it might point them in the right direction. So don't throw stuff out, paraphernalia in your garbage at home or anywhere where you reside at. Law number 4, always keep your car keys separate from other keys. In the streets, anything can happen at any time. You never know when you'll have to abort your vehicle immediately for any number of reasons. If so, you do not want to leave your house keys behind. So keep your car keys separate. Law 5, don't wear clothes associated with thugs or gangsters. Yes, we know stereotyping is wrong, but the fact of the matter is you don't need any unnecessary attention. Your appearance introduces you before you ever even open your mouth, and that's along with anything. Yeah, you want to look however you want to look. It's wrong to stereotype, but keep in mind, you don't have the luxury of operating as a normal, regular civilian. You're doing dirt. You don't want any extra eyes on you that you don't need. Law number 6, don't drive around with other men if you don't have to. This is very underrated, but the ugly truth is that there's a good chance that you're already feared and targeted just by how you naturally look. Read between the lines, just by how you naturally look. But what that means is if you're a young black male, people are going to fear you and automatically think you're up to no good. Also, it's a fact that a cop is more likely to pull over a group of men as opposed to a single man or a man and a woman or women in a car. You know what I'm saying? So if you by yourself, they might look at you, but the two of y'all together or three or four of y'all, they automatically want to assume you're up to no good. Law number 7, start a business and pay taxes. It's strongly recommended that you have some sort of job on the books. However, that's not usually a possibility. Another solution is to start a business. Contrary to popular belief, starting a business is simple and in most states can be registered within an hour and will be assigned an EIN number within days. Sell t-shirts, sell candy, etc. At the least, whatever the case, claim at least a couple grand a year on your taxes. Example, buy t-shirts in bulk just like anything else you buy in bulk, sell them individually for more money, and while you're at it, try to actually turn the business into a thriving income. Something where you're paying taxes is very important. Law 8, check your car lights regularly. So many people get pulled over due to simple traffic violations. If pulled over by a highly motivated cop who loves to go above and beyond their call of duty, a simple blown out headlight can lead to a world of trouble very quickly. Also, if you're riding dirty, always turn toward a cop if you see one. For example, if you're at a stop sign at an intersection, you see a cop to the left at an opposing intersection stop sign, make the left so you have to drive straight by him. You never want to give him the opportunity to get behind you, trust me. And if he does make a U-turn to get behind you after you drove straight by him, then you know it's on and popping and you have to maneuver, do whatever you got to do the best way you know how to get rid of whatever you got if you can. Law 9, never post any illegal activity on the internet. This should be self-explanatory. Law 9, let me say it again. Never post any illegal activity on the internet. Never post any illegal activity on the internet. I don't care if you think you're a rapper or whatever you think is separated from this or that, or never post any illegal activity on the internet. Law 10, never bring anyone from the streets to your home. This is a hard one to follow for some people based on where you live and how your community is set up. It may be hard to hide where you live. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's kind of impossible. Also, if you do dirt with family members, it's almost impossible to prevent them from knowing where you live because they're your family. In other situations, you might figure they're my peoples, I could trust them. Right, wrong. When things are good, they're good, but when they're bad, they can be terrible. The wrong person knowing where you live can be detrimental to your well-being. So try not to bring anybody to where you live at. Law 11, assume that you're always under surveillance in public. Don't only assume, expect it. The police cameras are not the problem. You probably see where they are. The real problem is this day and age of technology era, the tons of people have cameras on their house capturing footage and audio nonstop every day. You can simply say the wrong thing walking down the street and expose yourself. Trust me, these Ring doorbells and everything pick up on sound. You can be walking down the street talking about dirt you did or planning to do, and it's all captured on somebody's Ring doorbell. It's captured, it's saved, they can replay it. Law 12, charity, treat people right. Not necessarily in the form of donating money to a homeless shelter, but rather say family members who may be struggling or acquaintances that may need a little help. Throw them a bone every now and then, especially if they may know or they assume they know some of your personal business. Many people become targeted by friends and family who know they're getting money but don't ever spread the love, especially if you're doing very good for yourself. You pulling up in a Benz and you got pockets full of thousands of dollars and all this stuff, and you are stingy to people around you that think they're supposed to love them. That can turn into a recipe for disaster. There's also a second part of charity. As a businessman, hook people up. You'll survive longer by making less money off each business transaction than you will trying to make a lot each time. Continual less profit is better than huge one-time profit in most cases, unless it's one-time profit. is very rewarding. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're getting tons and tons of money for one thing, but usually you're better off taking less and keeping everybody happy, because you'll make it over time anyway. Law 13, be cautious of who you're seen in public with. This is a very important. As the old saying goes, I do my dirt upon my lonely. Is the most secure policy in the streets. If you do run with other people, try to be seen with them as less as possible in the streets. As for other people doing dirt that you have no dealings with, try not to ever be seen with other people who are doing dirt. If you're not in business with them or doing no dirt with them, try not to ever be seen around people like that in public. Many people get caught up just by being seen with the wrong person. If you have your own trail of secrets, the last thing you need is to intersect yours with somebody else's. Everyone in the streets has their own trail of possibilities following them around constantly. Yours is enough. You do need to possess a certain level of paranoia. Trust me. Law 14, don't tell your spouse anything you don't need to tell them. Another tricky one. If you're living with someone, it's almost impossible that you'll be able to hide everything from them, but that doesn't mean you should spell it out for them either. They don't need to know details. You don't need to be running by your stuff you did during the day. They don't need to know exactly where stuff is or how much you got of this or what you're doing. The less they know, the better. You may think they're your best friend, but if things take a turn for the worse, your best friend can become your worst enemy. The person that knows the most about you at the end of the day, especially if it's a spouse, they know everything about you. If you tell them, if they let them know, all that can be used as ammunition to take you down. On top of that, spouses are not promising. Everybody knows that. It's real. You never know what a female's agenda is. She might be there for many different reasons. She might just trust me. Just don't tell your spouse nothing if you don't have to tell them. Law 15, money and war don't mix. Yes, you can say that the street life is inevitably paralleled by a certain presence of violence, and it is. Truthfully though, even when violence is blamed on the pursuit of getting money, we all know that that's not always the case. Some dudes just love drama. Some dudes just love to bust off their guns. It's just in them. But once violence is introduced into the mix, it can and most likely will affect your whole situation. Gangsters will be on your trail, which will alter your day-to-day activities to switch from getting money to now focusing on protecting yourself. But once an altercation happens, now the police will be sniffing around. Also, a lot of unnecessary money will be lost managing a war. Remember why you're in the streets, to get money. Beefing and war will take a lot of your money. Hotel rooms, different rental cars, giving people money for odd information, just running around, just sitting around and not being able to be where you usually get money at because the police might be around, or the dude you beefing with are ready to run down on you. Money and war don't mix. Law 16, plan for emergency situations. Whether you get jammed up by the police or some other entity, there's a strong possibility that it will happen at some point. It's essential that before you spend any money on any unnecessary thing at all, save a few grand for a lawyer or other emergencies. Just have a couple dollars at least put to the side. Law 17, don't cooperate with the police. Snitching in this day and age almost seems like it's accepted and encouraged. Many times though, you'll open up a whole new can of worms that will backfire on you when you cooperate with the police. Oftentimes, a good lawyer can handle your situation just as well, because just because the police got you, it don't mean that they got you. Plus, snitching can put your family and loved ones at risk when they have nothing to do with it at all. You have to be prepared to face the music if you're out here in the streets. That's self-explanatory. Snitching is not always the way out. You might snitch and still go to jail for 10, 20, 15, 30 years, who knows how many years. When the lawyer would have just watched the whole case. Law 18, plan for conversion. This is the most important one. Save money. These days of balling till you fall are done. This is not the 80s, 90s, or early 2000s. If you're in the streets, it should be for a reason, a purpose. Have a goal in mind. Use your money to invest in legit business. Take a class, trade, or go to a community college in your spare time so you can have the knowledge to transition. Full book coming soon. So this is important like you shouldn't be out here doing dirt anyway if you don't have to. The streets are not like what they used to be. It's barely even looks like it's worth even being in the streets. I mean, the whole thing is just not what it used to be. The technology, the cameras, all this stuff. I mean, trust me, get out of the streets. You won't even realize a lot of the time. You'll be better off going to work, working 10, 15 hour job, depending on how your life is set up, if you got kids and bills and stuff like that. And you'll be better off than making a couple $100 a week in the street. The average person in the street, you're not out here balling no more. Like, this is not the 90s and 2000s and 80s where jokers is running around with everybody got stacks in their pocket. The game is not like that no more. You can believe what you want. Trust me, I see what's going on out in the streets. It's not like it used to be. It's barely worth it to be in the street. It's not worth it at all as far as this the lifestyle, but as far as just the money aspect of it, it's not even near like it used to be no more anyway. Trust me, it's not. So take this into consideration. Get yourself out of there if you're still out there in it. Do something different because it's just not worth it no more.